Welcome to the Columbus Report on Waycross Community Media. I'm Government Programming Coordinator Dana Gagnon, and while our legislators up in Columbus are taking time to work on getting that budget passed, which has to happen like right now, they don't have some time to meet with us in the studios. So what we're going to do is just take a few minutes to see what kind of news stories the Ohio Statehouse has posted on their news site, so we can take a look and see what kind of things are going on at the state level in our government here in Ohio. The first article we can take a look at is public transit and housing being highlighted in a report on low-income Ohioans. This is a State of Poverty in Ohio report, and it's coming to us from the Ohio Association of Community Action Agencies. The comprehensive report focused on issues surrounding income disparities, access to transportation, and affordable housing. Researchers found that the bottom 10% of wage earners made 7 cents per hour less than they did back in 1979. The report also said a household in the top 1% makes in 10 days what a family of 4 at the poverty threshold makes in an entire year. Advocates from the OACAA maintain that transportation is of vital importance for those experiencing poverty, and about a third of Ohio counties, nearly 1 million people, have no access at all to public transportation. Housing costs also remain a barrier. Philip Cole is the executive director of the OACAA, and he does say that in spite of some of the report's more negative findings, he does express some optimism about the state of poverty in Ohio. People at the bottom of the wage scale often have to work multiple part-time jobs to make a livable wage, but they still face barriers to poverty because often they don't have affordable housing, good transportation, access to health care, and their children are not in good schools, said Cole. According to Cole, the best way for the state to address this problem of income disparity is to increase state funding for transportation and housing projects. Cole believes the Ohio General Assembly made a positive step by increasing money for public transportation in the recent transportation budget. Since 2012, the state's poverty rate has declined from 16% to 14%. Ohio is turning a corner. Things are getting better. I see that by driving around the state and talking with people, says Cole. So let's see what other kind of stories we can see what else is going on up in Columbus. Well, the House okayed a bill for drug treatment instead of conviction, giving judges another option. The House overwhelmingly passed a bill giving courts options to divert those charged with drug crimes away from prison and into treatment programs. Now, this bill now goes to the Senate, which also has a drug crimes sentencing reform measure of its own. The bill is labeled House Bill 1 to indicate its priority, and it would expand access to programs for nonviolent drug offenders for treatment instead of conviction or prison, and allow for sealing of some criminal records to help them get jobs. Representative Stephanie Howes, Democrat from Cleveland, supported last year's failed ballot issue on drug sentencing and this bill as well. In a discussion of the bill on the House floor, House said House Bill 1 gives these Ohioans a second chance to start over and have a real shot at reaching their fullest potential. Cautious supporters say they're hoping lawmakers will also pass the Senate's priority bill that would also overhaul drug sentencing laws. The Ohio Public Defender's Office says that about 2,600 people are in prison for drug possession, and about 1,600 people are locked up for possessing drugs in amounts for personal use only. So what other kind of stories do we have to look at here coming out of Columbus? Well, if I were to say, what is the one place you 100% expect to be waiting in a long line, what would you say? Because I'm thinking the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. There is a pilot program they are testing in some locations around the state to help customers skip that BMV line. It is the Get in Line online system. And state officials have been testing out this new online checking system this is one of the places that gets the biggest complaints about lines anywhere. They've been testing this out since last year. It allows users to log in to the Ohio BMV site and select the service they want at one of 12 pilot sites. Then they get a 4-hour window to check in and skip ahead to the front of the line. BMV registrars Charles Norman said the system will provide new data on wait times, both to the state but also to the customers. With this new system, when they go online, they'll be able to see what are my 10 closest agencies and exactly what are the wait times at those agencies, says Norman. Norman says this could cut down wait times for some of the estimated 16 million transactions the BMV conducts every year. And if it's successful, it could expand to more of the state's 186 deputy registrar locations. The 12 sites right now where it's available are throughout the state of Ohio, but none of them are here in Cincinnati. So we'll have to hope that that works out so they bring us that option down here. Now, most of the news in Columbus right now is all about the budget. One of the biggest things to talk about is that the Senate passed their version of the budget unanimously for the first time since 2007. For the first time in 12 years, a 2-year state operating budget has passed the full Ohio Senate without a single no vote. That sends their $69 billion spending plan to a conference committee so they can work out conflicts with the House version of the spending plan. Now, there are changes in the Senate version of the budget compared to the House version of the budget. The Senate budget includes $8 million to help parents avoid giving up custody to get their kids specialized treatment. The Senate version has $100 million for struggling pharmacies and new requirements on pharmacy benefits managers. And there are a lot of other differences. We'll just hit a couple of them. One of them is that it would grandfather in people who will be 18 by October to buy tobacco products, though that buying age is eventually going to rise to 21. The Senate version allows charter schools to ban unvaccinated students. One thing the Senate version does is push the 2020 presidential primary ahead by a week to the third Tuesday after the first Monday in March. It also extends a moratorium on new fireworks wholesaler and dealer licenses till the end of 2020. Now, this unanimous vote sends the budget to the conference committee, which members will be named by the time we air this program. And this budget must be signed into law by June 30th. So hopefully they can get that negotiation process working well. Now, there's one more interesting provision in the Senate budget, and we'll see if it makes it through to the final version that must be signed by the 30th. And that is new graduation requirements that would start in 2023. Now, looking at graduation requirements and changing them has been on the table for some time, but it's been delayed. The state delayed graduation requirements in 2017 and 2018 because of concerns that as many as a third of students might not be on track to meet these new high school requirements. So this is going to be one more try. Take a look and see if new graduation requirements can be put in place in time to become in effect by 2023. Students would pick from options that include 20 credits of coursework, good final scores on basic English and math tests, and college and career prep. These new graduation requirements would include at least 2 seals or endorsement from state and local districts in areas such as community service, workforce readiness, bilingual proficiency, and military enlistment. Other potential state seals are for citizenship, science, technology, requiring certain test scores or advanced coursework, and local seals include fine and performing arts and student engagement. Senate Education Chair Peggy Lehner, who is Republican from Kettering, says that it's a good plan. She says one size doesn't fit all, and we should have a variety of different ways for a student to indicate that they're ready to move on to the next phase of their lives. There is nothing on graduation standards in the House version of the budget, but Lehner says that because of all the time spent discussing this issue, she feels that this has a good chance of staying in the final version of the budget. So we'll have to, again, keep an eye on. Next time we have a Columbus Report, we'll have a lot to talk about with what stayed in the budget, what's in the House's version, and what's in the Senate's version, and how they were able to, in their committee, reconcile those into a budget so that our state of Ohio can have a budget passed by the deadline of June 30th. I want to thank you for spending some time with me as I went through the latest headlines that we see coming from our state government in Ohio. We learned about, hopefully, shortening some lines at the BMV. We learned about possible new state high school graduation requirements, and we took a look at some of the things that we see in this new Senate version of the budget, and we'll have to wait and see if the Senate version and the House version can be reconciled in time for a budget to be signed by the June 30th deadline. So thanks again for joining me, and tune in next time to the Columbus Report.